Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Amy Palmer. I'm the STEAM teacher at our school in Tennants Harbor on the coast. And I'm going to try to share a blended math idea for fifth graders. So I love the question that Kuros asks. What opportunities are you providing for informal learning, exploration, and play with new technologies in your organization? I love to do that stuff. I'm actually a science teacher, really. I used to teach middle school science, and then I was hired here as a fourth and fifth grade science teacher, and now I'm called the STEAM teacher. However, I've gotten pulled in other directions. I had to teach ELA one year, and I had to teach math last year. So, so this play is my specialty. I feel I love inquiry, hands-on exploration, and anything strengths-based. I love what Kuros had to say about strengths-based education. So I'm going to read something that he said. By continually offering opportunities that stretch students in their strengths, they improve their learning skills as well as their belief in themselves. And that, I think, is more important than anything else, because then they're willing to try, they're willing to put in the effort and the perseverance, which is really definitely required to meet these rigorous Common Core standards. So I feel like as a science teacher, I've been lucky because I don't have as much accountability, really. They're tested in fifth grade and eighth grade, and usually that goes swimmingly. It's not hard to pass the science tests if you're doing things like this. So, this picture over here, this is just an electricity thing, and that's not digital at all. I didn't have the kids use any digital tools for electricity. It was all hands-on and fun exploration. And then on the right here, we have some girls building their Lego sets for their stop-motion films, which I've spoken about before. And this is just an example of one of those films. A lot of play and inquiry goes into making this 12-second film. Ready? Oops, I guess it didn't play. Oh, bummer. Okay, well, try one more time.
It's a nice day. I'm coming for you, Snake.
And so that film was voted by their peers as one of the best, and we shared that at a community meeting, which is when the whole school gets together and the community gets together once a month. Okay, another thing that I do in my science room, my STEAM room, is a project where the kids use Tinkercad to design houses, and they learn about energy and electricity. We learn about electricity first, and then they learn about solar energy. And so these kids are making their houses and putting solar panels on the top to make the light-emitting diode inside light up, which was really fun for them. And on the right, we have they learned about topography, and so made topographic maps and an island on a laser cutter to go with it. You can see the island is in topographic layers, but that's to help them really visualize in 3D. And I wrote up here augmentation and redefinition. I think the project on the left is an example maybe of redefinition, I think, from the SAMR model. I think it's not a project I could ever do without technology. So I think it's just a redefined project. Whereas the one on the right, with the island, that I think is augmentation, because we would have done this maybe with cardboard before, and had the kids cut it out, which is really painful. But we have the laser cutter now, so that was really fun. So they designed it on Tinkercad. So I think they got some Tinkercad skills using that program, and I'll show you that. This is Tinkercad, and these my last year's fourth graders, because I could focus on STEAM, got really good at this. It's pretty tricky, I will say, especially with the trackpad. So, but they got pretty good at it because we did a lot of projects with it. And I want to share another Kuros quote here. What we learn is not as important as what we create from what we learn. A focus on doing less allows us the time to actually go beyond surface level learning and to really explore. So we can build a knowledge that enables us to move forward and innovate. And like I said before, in science, I think I have the luxury of doing that. I don't have as many standards to meet. But math class, holy moly, it was a little bit different, and I'll talk about that. Okay, so in math this year, we used everyday math. And everyday math makes use of manipulatives and math games, which is good. That's incorporating play and inquiry. And I added in some grapples. And this is a picture of these girls after they just figured out how to answer the question I had asked, the grapple. And they were so proud of themselves. So that was really fun. So let's see. These are some volume, well, these are base 10 blocks, but I use them as volume manipulatives here. And it struck me, I watched Dr. McCammon's video, and the way he does it, he gets the kids, and again, he's in high school, and he's got a lot of information that he needs the kids to process. So instead of just talking at them for 60 minutes, he does a 10 or 15-minute lecture on the video, and then has the kids sort of process together. And I loved the way he did that. I don't think it would work exactly here because we're playing with concepts rather than a whole lot of information. And so, you know, I don't think I would generally have my fifth grade math students do that. I think what they're doing more of is using manipulatives to get the idea of, in this case, volume. Virtual manipulatives are great too, although I think if I had a choice, I'd use the real hands-on manipulatives. But I think this could enrich maybe my volume unit. That everyday math starts out with volume, and it was pretty hard for a lot of kids. So using the manipulatives was really key for many of them, and just giving them the time to explore with their hands and with their friends and collaborate. So virtual manipulatives are handy as well. And I've used gizmos before. This is from Explore Learning. I've used them in science class before, but I've never used them in math class. So I was taking a look at the volume manipulatives that they have. I looked in PHET simulations, and they don't have anything for volume. They have an area one that looked cool, but the volume one. But so this is Explore Learning, and what they usually do is provide teachers with lab sheets that have really good questions that really guide the inquiry. So I wasn't able to look at that for this because I don't have an account right now, but this could work, especially if we're relegated to being home. So this could be like a station rotation. Or if we're home, I could have them play with this there somehow. And if we're not home, I want to make a treasure box with the kids. And this is an example of Kuros talks about engagement versus empowerment. And this is a way for me to engage the kids because I think they would really like it. I'm not really empowering them exactly, so I have to think about this a little bit more. But so I want them to design treasure boxes with this question: what is the best shape for a treasure box? And I bought some shiny gold cardstock for them to use after we design these on Tinkercad and then cut them out on the laser cutter. But I want them, I'm involving a little engineering here as well. So what do you need to consider? Basically get them to think about, you want to be able to carry as much gold as possible because you're a pirate. But you also want to be able to hide it away somewhere. So what's the best shape? Um, and so then they'll need to predict how much treasure they will hold. And the treasure are the little base 10 cubes. And then they could make a video advertising the merits of their treasure box, and possibly share it on Twitter. Kuros talks about how you need to share. He says, if we as leaders want to accelerate our own growth rather than just encourage others to do so, we must actively participate in the sharing of ideas. And this is something that freaks me out. I'm not good at this. So I love Twitter. I'm totally like a lurker on Twitter because there's so much good stuff to glean. But I could create a classroom Twitter account and post things. The only thing is I get stuck on the whole permissions part. But if anybody has any ideas about that, let me know. So that would be a good thing for me to do. And again, this treasure box idea is valuing depth over breadth for sure, because it takes a long time. So we would spend a lot of time on volume, but I think they would really internalize the idea of volume if we did this. Okay, so next year, I keep thinking about next year and fretting about next year. I don't know. It looks like we're going to be maybe in school a few days and home a few days. So if that's the case, the enriched virtual model that Blended Learning Universe shared seems like a really, really good idea. It reminds me of a book I read back in 2012. It's old now at this point, but Inevitable, Mass Customized Learning by Charles Schwann and Beatrice McGarvey. And they talk about how you can have kids doing all this online work, all the practice, and the things that don't need an adult. They can be doing that at home if they want. And since we're going to be relegated to home a good chunk of next year probably, that's what they can be doing at home. But they talk about how you want kids to come in for the things that they need adults for that, the really rich discussions, the crew time, the caring adult that's there, the collaboration. So coming to school for 2 days a week for that kind of thing, and then doing the other stuff at home might work really well. When we went online this year, or to remote schooling this year, that's what was missing. I mean, I really tried to provide that virtually with Zoom meetings, but it isn't quite the same. So I look forward to being able to see kids at school a couple of days a week, and then maybe doing the rest of our work online. I do need to get a system for that. I don't know if I'm teaching math next year or not, but a math system could look like this, having grapples and maybe interventions here at school, and me meeting with kids. And then at home, they work on the IXL, Khan Academy. Maybe I make videos for them. Possibly do Tinkercad at home, although that could get hard for the kids. If they're really good at it, I think that would be fine. And then if I'm teaching science, I would do the hands-on exploration here, although I'm not sure we'll be able to have Legos and things like that to touch. So we'll see about that. And then have them do the digital creation at home if they can handle that. Again, I think they would need a lot of practice at school before they could do it at home, but maybe that's possible. And like everybody said in all of our readings and videos this week, relationships. So Kuros says it, but Kayla Delzer said it in her TED Talk. Sal Khan said it in his video. And some of the teachers from Better Learning said it as well. It's really important. And I think we as teachers all know that. Relationships are what really matters, especially for those kids that don't have great home lives. That's key for their success, having a champion at school, and so we still need to continue to do that. And so maybe we can still do that if we have some days at school next year. Fingers crossed. Thank you, everybody.